a tutorial about game input. So what I want to show you is this. During game mode input, UI only, this is UI only, you can't use the action mappings. So any key press on the keyboard or on the gamepad will not allow you to bind the keys to a button. But in this tutorial I want to show you how to use a keyboard or gamepad to bind it into a button while in UI only. So if I click this, it will print that, and if I press the spacebar, it will also print that. And while I also click outside, it will not autofocus, so that I can still use the code. And when I press back, everything is normal again. The reason why you can't move, or I'm pressing WASD, the character isn't moving because the game input is set to UI only. And when I go back, the game input is set to game only again. So how to do this? So first, make a folder, or you don't have to, if you don't want. But in my case, I want to make a folder for that purpose. And now, right click, user interface, and widget blueprint. We'll call this pop-up there, and then open it. Now we need an image. This image is not for display purpose. This is so that it can stay on focus while the pop-up is on. This will block the mouse cursor into focusing to the game main map. So let's adjust the opacity to transparent, completely transparent. Yes. And then don't forget to set the widget into focusable. So click on the root hierarchy. If you see my mouse, I will click on the root hierarchy. And then interaction is focusable. Check this. And then compile and save. And then before we go to the graph, let's add a button and text. Button and then text, and then size to content. Let's call this button don't click button. Let's name it, and let's make the text don't click. Make the letters black, and then duplicate it. Set the anchor into middle. I'm very sorry for this tutorial. This is my first time making a tutorial. Bear with me. Now let's make this button to back button. Back button. And let's make the text black. Compile and save. Now let's go to the graph. Remove event pre-construct and event tick. We will, and then click on the back button. And then on events, click the on click, or they click the plus sign besides the on click. What you want when we press the back button is to go back to the main level. We'll just remove from parent and then set the game mode into game only. To do that, we need the get character controller. Character controller. Character. Huh. Oh, get player controller. Okay. And then by no. Set input mode game only. I'm sorry, I'm still not too familiar in widget blueprint. I am familiar in C++, but I don't like the C++ in this Unreal Engine. It's too complicated for me. So I prefer using the blueprint. So what's this done is to remove this, go back to main level, and then in the event construct we need to set the game mode. So let's duplicate this, set the game mode to UI only, game mode, input mode to UI only, UI only, input mode UI only, and then set focus. This part, set focus, is very important. This ensures that the code will work. You will see later. This is, let's comment this, focus on widget, focus, not focus, focus. And let's go back to character blueprint and then third person character. I haven't I haven't showed this, but you need to go to project settings and set the input for the pop-up. In my case, in the action mapping, you will press the plus sign like this, and then you will name it according to what you want. In my case, I name it pop-up, and then I assign it to keyboard P right there, and then close. Now that we assign that in the action mapping, we can find it here. Now the name is pop up. See that pop up, and then when it's pressed, I want to add. No, let's is valid, and then we need to create the widget. Create widget. Where are you? Create widget. There, and then the name of the widget, which is pop up. Here it is, pop up, and then return value. Let's promote to variable, and then rename this variable into pop up reference or pop up oh, reference. Yeah, this is from before. So this is, now we need to get this here. So hold control and then left click and drag there, and then connect this here in the is valid node, and then connect this to is not valid, and then set to add to viewport, add to viewport, and then is valid. Target, let's test it. Okay, before we test it, let's comment this. Pop up, press P. Yeah, I'm not really good at naming things. Compile and save, and then test. If I press P, yeah. If I press P again, nothing happens, and if I try to move, nothing happens because I haven't coded it yet. So let's go back. Let's go back to pop-up. So what I want, wait, let's play it again, and then press P, back, there. So the back button works, but I want this, wait, I want this be assigned in other buttons. I can also assign this to other buttons as well. Like for example P. I'm pressing P now but nothing happens. But if I click this, it will go back. The reason why nothing happens because the game mode input is set to UI only, and everything in the action event or action mapping will not work in UI mode or UI input, sorry. So let's go back to the code. Now to assign the back button, I want to go back to the main level when I press P again while the pop-up is present. So we need to add a custom event, and I will call this back to main level event, and then connect this here. And then to assign this to a button, we need the functions override. This is the magic. So on key down, and then on key event, get key, and then equal, and set this to whatever you want. So in my case, I want it to be letter P, and then when the key is letter P, so I'm holding B and then left click branch. If the key press is P, I want it to call the function go back or back to main level. Yes, back to main level, and then attach it here, and then we need this to handled so that it won't return an error. But there's other buttons that we want, the down click. Let's assign something that right now the down click button does nothing, so let's make it just to print some string, print string, and then let's type I was click, no, click with ed. Yes, thank you. So while this is click, it will print some string, so let's test it out. And then P, don't click. Okay, so right now I'm clicking the down click, So we need to attach this to a button, but right now if I press the back button it will go back, and I'm not pressing the back. Let's try to press P. Nothing happens yet. So what's wrong? Let's go back to the code. So on key down, we've we need to get key. Oh, I forgot to attach the sorry. And then compile and save. And then this should work now. There. I'm pressing P. If I press the back button, it will go back, and I'm pressing P again, and then I'm pressing P again. There, it's going back. But what if we want this button to be assigned into a keyboard button again, or to another key? What if there's a bunch of buttons you want to assign to different buttons? So I will only show you at least two, because adding more buttons is going to be a hard task. It's going to be a lot of work. I will only show two press. So we will only duplicate this and then attach this here. See that? And then I want the space bar. So as you know, in by default the third person character will jump when you press space. So right now it should not jump when I press spacebar during the pop-up, or when the pop-up is is what do I call it? If the pop-up is present in the screen. Yes. I'm not good in English. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this is wrong, but it should also work, but this is, I think this is better. There. And then when it's true, we need to assign a new event for the don't click. Where it is? So custom event, add custom event, and then press the don't press. Press the don't press. And then connect it here. And then on key down, let's go back to the override function. On key down, we need to call that press the don't press, and then connect it to the return node. There, and then compile and save. Now it should work. And then press P, P again, and then P, spacebar. I was click. And then if I click this, it will also function. Then pressing space again, and then go back, P, and then P again. So I will explain if you didn't add the image in the widget. So right now, if I press P, the pop-up will appear, and then if I press anywhere outside the buttons, it stay on focus, so that all the key press in the UI will work. So if I remove the image that we add, which is just an image, transparent image, it does nothing. If I remove this and then compile and save, when I press P now and then I click outside here, it loses focus and everything doesn't work. Even the character doesn't move. Even the mouse doesn't appear. Nothing works. So you really need the image there just to stay the widget in focus. So that's the only so that's the end of the tutorial. I hope it was clear and informative.